All right, hello, ABL. Let's. I don't want to dilly. The special guest, the super special guest, is Adam. It says Goldie because he's our NL MVP, right? Like obviously, no, really, it's Phillies Adam. I have Zach of the Brewers. You've seen Zach before, no big deal. Adam, thank you for coming on. Yeah. I don't know how to. There,
It's a
Adam,
Brady Bunch.
Yeah. We were gonna have a third guy. He couldn't make it. I'm not gonna throw him under the bus. But Adam, thank you for finally making it on. You know, you're one of the most anticipated, at least in a very small section of the league, one of the most anticipated podcasts, maybe of all time. So thank you for taking some holiday weekend to come and hang out. Zach, of course, you as well. How you guys doing?
Want to go, Zach?
Doing good. I'm just happy. I guess I've been incredibly patient and saying I'm not saying I'm in yet. I'm not saying I'm in yet. And even though the last game's not over, I think I'm finally in. So glad to be in just to crash the party and have my 2 to 3% chance of going forward. But I'm happy to be there and happy to be here.
And Adam, as a longtime listener, first-time caller, and a face made for radio, thanks for having me. Thanks for keeping this alive for 2 years. I would have come sooner, but I finally figured out the technology. And welcome to my garage, as I've been relegated to my garage. So good to be here. Good to finally talk in person and not have to type everything out in order to speak about the league that I love so much. And thank you, Duke. If you do watch this league, you know how much it means to me and so many of us.
Adam, right straight away, I'm gonna call you out. I was gonna do this before we went live, but I wanted it to be. You told me like a year and a half ago that you sounded like Gilbert Gottfried, and I'm not getting. I gotta say, I'm not getting any Gilbert Gottfried out of you. I'm really, I'm a little disappointed.
On top of that.
I went to college in Ohio, and it took the Brooklyn right out of me. So forget about it. Ain't none of that.
Went the Rust Belt, and it just knocked all that Gottfried right out of there. Yeah,
I remember. I lived in a fraternity house, and my parents would call on the house phone back when they had a house phone. And my parents would call, and all my buddies would be like, "Hey, it's your parents. They're calling. Hey, they want to talk to you." And it was just like.
Get over here.
I kind of killed my own accent.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to mention that because, I wasn't going to really react either way. But when somebody tells you, I think I sound like Gilbert Gottfried, I'm expecting some Gilbert Gottfried. I'm not getting any. I'm not getting it. I gotta say
that's one of the most iconic voices in history.
Right? Yeah, I was the green room. Adam. Tony has a tendency to call before we go live. That is the green room, and the running joke is that, of course, I do not provide refreshments of any kind, no drinks, no food, no nothing. Yeah, so the green room just is what it is. It's a figment of our imaginations, but a lot of times it is very real. As we sat and dicked off for 15 minutes before we ended up going live. Let's get into some playoffs.
Oh,
yeah. Let's get into some playoffs a little bit. You guys, I was going to have the third guy on here to have 3 playoff teams, and then of course myself. Zach, you were in kind of my position last year, limping in as the 8 seed, correct? Like you were kind of where I was last year, and I took a much worse turn in year 2. But you maybe are coming in with a little bit, I don't know if even 2 to 3% is a little bit more expectation than I think I gave myself about a 0% of beating Duke in round 1 last year. But let's take a look at who you are set to be playing and discuss maybe if you really think you have a 2 to 3% chance of victory, or do you think maybe you're looking a little better than that?
Wait, it's the Dodgers? Wait, they're the best team. Oh, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, this is from Tony. Now, Tony compiled this for me because as I think I told Adam and maybe so, like I like doing the pod and everything. I love the league, but I can't pretend to fake the headspace of being a playoff team and to be that excited and that anticipate what's the word of that, like anticipatory of the matchups and stuff. Like, sure, I like talking about it, but I'd be lying if I said, I was at full chub, for these playoffs, because I'm not in them. I don't even think I'm going to have a good console team. So I like having both of you guys.
Be surprised.
But are you in the same spot that I was last year? Do you think that you're really up against it, or do you think you have that 2 to 3%, or are you hoping that maybe it's a little bit better than that? Have you looked at the starts for next week and everything? Like, I haven't done that for you. Lay your matchup out for me.
I think that I was looking at that a little bit the other day. I think I actually made a joke in the Discord about how, look out, Joe, Tyler Alexander is my 2-start pitcher. And when your K per 9 is about like 5 in 2022, that's not exactly a ringing endorsement. But I feel better than I did a few weeks ago, because I was trying to project out and looking like, oh, if I'm lucky enough to get in because of Frank's schedule, that I with people getting healthy, that my team could theoretically peak at post my Nolan Arenado trade with our other guest today, with Adam. I was sort of on a downward trend, and I've kind of then picked it up a little bit, but I just kept losing. So even despite I felt like my scoring had improved, and I just kept losing. So it was almost like I wasn't going to get in. So now I'm feeling.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Zach. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I did want to mention for this that Tony has gotten us here. If it's not clear, these are your average weekly scores from the first half, of course, the second half, and this is after the trade deadline. So in the second half, you were averaging 262 points a week, but then after the deadline, you picked up 8 points a week. Now, I don't know if that was via trade or anything, but when you said it felt like I was improving a little bit, the numbers do bear that out. 8 points, it's only 8 points or whatever, but it does show that you were scoring better in the second half after the trade deadline. So you didn't just feel like you were improving, you were.
I think the only analysis into that, there's 2 points there, is I got Harper back a couple weeks ago. And finally my year-long saga to get 6 or 7 starts a week finally happened after because I've made trades with both of you guys to try to help with that. And I finally, now Waldachuk just got called up, so I have him too. So that's sort of the only reason why I feel like I have I have the 2 to 3% chance instead of the 0.2 or 0.3% chance. Because even this week, this is probably the best finish I've had. So I don't feel confident at all, but I'm more confident than I probably would have been any other week. So that's I feel okay going in, but I'm not expecting anything.
Yeah, you like to at least go in and feeling good, right? I mean, at the very least.
I just wanted to crash the party, make the dance, any tired old cliche you can get to, with a under 500 record. But and I know our division.
That is exactly what I said. Year one, yeah, I get it, man. You're preaching to the choir. I just wanted to make the show. I didn't have any illusions about what was going to happen after I made the show.
Oh yeah, especially after, because I honestly, and I've told a couple people this, if Frank didn't dump, I wouldn't be here, because I even lost to him after he dumped, and that put me in even a worse case. And then he dumped even further. So that's what kind of put me over the top. So thank you, Frank. Kudos.
Be Frank.
But so I'm feeling okay, but not expecting anything. against the mighty
Adam,
Dodgers.
Have you seen anything in the Brewer Dodger matchup that would maybe lead you to think any differently? I mean, if you were asking me today, my money would be on the Dodgers. I don't think that's surprising to say, but do you like the Brewers' chances any more than anybody else might in this one?
Zach, you're a great dude. I appreciate you. You're special, but sorry, brother. Like a lot. Like I'll tell my story also. Like I'm kind of in the same boat as you, but there's a couple of juggernauts, and he's one of the juggernauts. Not that it can't be done, but
I'm 10 points behind him this week. So if this is my best showing, then I wish I would have saved it for next week. But right now I'm only 10 points behind Joe, and I'm actually beating Jeff. Probably the Cardinals. I'm like 0-100 against the Cardinals this year, so I would have actually beat Jeff. But I don't see that going forward. With German Marquez has been great these last couple starts for me. Urias has been amazing, and if I had a 2-start week from Urias, I might have a shot. Even with Wolochuk, Lorenzen might be coming off the IL. I'm going to have a lot of Javier Assad somehow is having 9 scoreless innings in 2 starts, but
These
it's
guys
not
are garnering playoff starts in the ABL. That's the state of the ABL. Is Javier Assad is making playoff starts.
So I have no delusions of grandeur here. But
I mean, for what it's worth, I went in last year. I dumped, and everyone, I dumped last year, and I beat Tony the first round, which was I was kind of the favorite there. But then I beat your dad, didn't I, in the second round? And I didn't expect that. He didn't expect it. Things can happen. And I lost to Duke the next week by like 5 points. So things can happen. What's that?
22 points. You lost to Duke by, but still, I mean,
this was pretty close.
22 and a half. I only know that because I'm staring at it. But I mean, to piggyback off of that, if you look at last year's first round, Jeff, the juggernaut, lost to the Padres, who, we know what happened to the Padres this year. They were almost as bad as I was. And then the very next week, Adam only beat the Padres by 18 and then only lost to the Pirates in round 3 by 22. So, and then, of course, we know the championship was decided by 5 points. The Pirates beat the Tigers by 5 points. But, I mean, if breaking down last year's playoffs and just looking at them as we go into round 1 this year, the Dodgers did lose to the very team that Zach needed him to lose to get in, So the Cubs knocked off the juggernaut Dodgers last year. Cubs are out this year. The Padres knocked off the juggernaut Cardinals last year. Padres are not in this year. So and those guys, obviously, the Cardinals and Dodgers are both back as powerhouses. But we saw what can happen. They both got bounced in the first round last year. Really, I know I rip on Joe for saying, once you get there, it's a coin flip. But, and I guess, we've seen the arguments from Josh and stuff. It really depends on how you define coin flip. Is it really just a true 50-50 outcome? Or is that to say, anybody can win kind of thing? It really matters on how Tony's saying, nice house tour from Zach, who feels like he's been walking for the entirety of the time I've been talking. He must have descended into a really deep basement. So.
Oh no, my teeny tiny house. I just had
it was like that meme of the Weekend where the guy he's like he's looking all over the place during that music video. That's what that was
like. Getting lost in my own house.
I don't even know what the hell I was saying either. You guys can shut me up at any time because I'm just babbling. I'm on cough medicine and shit. So, what should we?
Well, real quickly, let me give a little background on I'll do my playoff. What I
yeah, okay, yeah. Wait, I did Zach's, but I didn't do yours. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, good. So I guess dumped at some point because I was destroying the Braves. I was like halfway through, I'm like, wow, I could possibly win this division by going 500 the rest of the season. So I got rid of some of the bigger names, hoping to get some good contracts. My team went from like I was hoping I was going to coast to horrendous. It was really bad. And Jake's team, I don't know what he started doing. Like he was giving good pep talks or something. Those Braves like just took off. Like I don't know if guys were getting called up. I don't know the details, but his team became awesome. So like right towards the trade deadline. By the way, the trade deadline was probably some of the most fun I've had, and I don't know how long. Like, like it was so, like there were so many side conversations going on. But so the trade deadline came, and I was like, I want to like. My team basically consists of guys like you, like I don't really have to do an auction. I'm almost at a point where I'm going to have like $10 to spend. And that's where I kind of wanted to be. I mean, you could question whether Bohm is a good deal. You can question whether, Bregman is a good deal. Obviously, you can debate those all day. Everyone has their opinions. But I essentially could go into the auction right now and not get anybody, which is what I wanted to do. So I feel like I got my team to a place where I could compete in the playoff. Like I have a shot at a decent team, but I also set myself up for next year in hopes. That was my hope. However, Atlanta kept getting better and better and better. And then I saw, I don't know what he did. Like it's crazy. Kudos to you, brother. But then I looked at the schedule for next week and I was like, I literally have like 9 starting pitchers. And I was like, I'm set up for the playoffs. I might have 1 2-star pitcher, and that's Bubich, whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, good job, Jake. Good job in the next round. Like, you got this, brother. Like, I had my best 2 weeks these past 2 weeks, and he still destroyed me both weeks. So I'm not very confident.
Yeah, so that's my story. You're looking at
sticking to it.
Boy, you're looking at like your Pablo start that you get. It's against the Mets. Your Max Fried start is at Seattle. Not terrible, but it could
pitcher's
be better.
Part, but Seattle's been on fire. They've been absolutely on fire.
I don't know. I don't really think this is very accurate though, because if you look on like MLB, it's all TBD. This whole past week, all my starts were like changed every day. So if this is accurate, I'm really screwed. But I might not be as screwed as some of those changes.
It's in Fantrax also, so yeah, you're probably right. Can't put a ton of stock into it. And you're not getting any of these guys back, right? Like Paul Blackburn's not coming back.
Nope.
Yeah, he just got 60-dayed.
Yep.
Of course, you're not getting Meansy back. Yeah, now let's take a quick look at the Braves. Because man,
he has Archer, Marco Gonzalez, and Waka. All 3 are getting 2 starts at least.
Ooh. Not like, you don't really fear. I mean, Waka's been better than you kind of would have thought this year, I guess, just like numbers wise. I don't know how he is like points per game, but you take a look at both of you guys. You guys were both in the 300s per week in the first half, and you both dropped down in the second half. Adam, you dropped down quite a bit, but you made some moves. Like you said, you didn't dump or whatever, but you definitely tailed off in the second half, like pretty significantly, about 60 points worth. Yeah.
Can I just say, trading Alcantara instead of Pablo will haunt me for years.
I think since you traded him, Sandy's gone on to throw like 2 shutouts, or maybe one was 9 innings, 1 earned or something, but he's been a horse.
I know Pablo has a history of injuries. I was completely aware of that, but I was like, everyone keeps saying that Pablo is the guy who gets the strikeouts. In our league, it seems like strikeouts are really valuable. Like a guy throws 7 innings, gives you a quality start, but no strikeouts. it's not that many points. So I was like, I'm going to go with Pablo. He's got the strikeouts. He's the man. Maybe he'll play for a contract this year. And I was wrong. So
he did slump.
He really
was doing really well, and he slumped a little bit in the midsummer there, which didn't help.
It's been like over a month. I mean, he's been terrible.
Yeah.
He's had a couple good starts lately. I don't remember against who, but I think like 2 of his last 3 starts have been 6 innings and decent. But he was bumping up against his career high or what had been his career high innings. And I think he's just gassed. He's been like gassed for the last month and a half. I haven't looked at like velo data or anything, but clearly something is not.
Well, he's never had this many innings, I'm guessing, because of all the injuries.
Yeah, he just can't do it. Yeah, right. Yeah, he always got hurt before he threw enough innings. Let's take a look at Jake.
He only went 4 innings today.
Yeah. Suarez also went 4 innings because he's a disaster right now.
You know what? Because I'm thinking about it right now, I have no idea if we got 4 people watching. I don't know if one of them is my dad, but I'm going to tip of the cap to my dad. He sewed up a roto victory today, one of these funky Yahoo leagues that for some reason ended today. But he did sew up a roto victory, not wire to wire, but he's been in first for a long time. So congrats, Dad, if you're watching.
Absolutely.
It's been a while. I do want to say that also. It's been a while since he's had a title, and so he's going to get at least one this year. Kudos to him. I don't know what just made me think of that. Thinking of Pablo because he was on a team that he was facing and he needed him to not be great today. So it's a little bit of a deviation there. Congrats, Dad, on the roto victory. This is Josh. This is Jake that we're looking at here. Looking at Jake's Braves, he had Dunning get smacked around today. He's had Zack Gallen. Maybe has been the best pitcher of the last 2 months.
Innings, no runs.
Yeah,
eighth
just incredible. I've been riding him in ABL 4 quite a bit. He's been helping me out. What is Zach drinking? Tony said.
So for the Western, and it was funny when Alan, when you posted the when you put up the 3 different the surprise guests, and I'm like, well,
super special guests.
I guess I am the local food person because I am not one of the best teams in the league, and I am not the most awaited guest ever. So in honor of that, it's not Buffalo really or Western New York, Southern Tier. Southern Tier is big here. The Nitro S'mores Imperial Milk Stout. It's I get these fairly often. So,
that does sound tasty.
I'm a stout porter guy, so it doesn't matter what time of year it is. So,
have you had Left Hand Brewing's version?
Yes, it's been a while. But it's pretty good.
I like a peanut butter stout. I can't say I've had one of s'mores. Like that sounds like it could be good.
They do a lot. They do like a Girl Scout cookie thin mint. They do. We also have a coconut truffle in there. They rotate through during the year, so they do some good stuff.
Coconut truffle beer.
Southern Tier is the one that does the Pump King, right?
Yes, and like the Warlock. Yeah, they do a couple pumpkin. Do a couple pumpkin stouts.
It is going to be pumpkin beer season very soon. Oktoberfest
already.
Yeah.
Pumpkin spice lattes.
Joe takes a crack at me for admitting that my dad outplays him. Outplays me, not outplays him. My home league that my dad and I have been in since like 1996. We each have 3 total victories in that. So, but the other leagues, the extra leagues, it's been a long time since he won one. I don't want to shit on him, but outplays me might be a little strong. We are in the league together that he did win. I performed very poorly, and I think I'm in 8th. But enough. Oh, we lost a viewer. See, I started talking about other stuff, and we lost a viewer. We're down to 3 now. So we gotta. It's the Russian spam bot that stopped.
Joe's like, forget this.
Should I take my shirt off? Would that help?
Couldn't hurt. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, let's
Adam, what I will say too.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Alan. Yeah, what you were asking about what in the heck Jake did.
Yeah.
So I went back and looked. Starting around the middle of May, I don't know if that's when you started making a couple deals yourself. I didn't get to look into that yet.
I think so.
But Jake had a really, really excellent farm system. And he made a couple of moves in a short period of time that really set him up well for the rest of the year. Because I
think one of those moves was to me, actually.
The ones I'm looking at, I'm not seeing yet. I don't see anything there. He traded Harry Ford, Quinn Priester, in a first round pick for Gallon and Adam Duvall, which has really paid off well. He traded Matt McLean for Tony Gonsolin, which until recently has gone very well. He traded a hurt Mike Soroka for David Bednar, who was a great reliever until he missed the last month. And he did try a bunch of other things. He traded a bunch of guys to get Corbin. That didn't really work out, but I think that didn't really matter so much. He also got Brad Keller, but these are all guys who got starts.
Yeah.
And he got Chris Bryant in a trade, who of course he's barely played in a trade with Alan's dad, and Eric Swanson, who's been a valuable mid-range guy. But a bunch of those moves really helped shoot him up in that time, especially when you consider how important pitching is in this league. And when you get Gallon and Gonsolin in the years that they've had, if you need pitching and you get those guys who've done those things, you're in good shape.
Yeah, that's huge. Good call on that.
Michael Wacha has been averaging 14.65 points per game. That is way better than I thought he had been. Because I didn't think he threw many innings. I thought he was like a 4 or 5 inning guy most of these outings. Man, you talk about getting performance from kind of unexpected places. This number here from Mike Wacha, and then this number here from Gonsolin. Now, granted, he's not going to have Gonsolin for the playoffs, or week 1 of the playoffs probably. But man, a 17 point per game, who he's had for a good bit of that 17 points per game. Some of that when you take Gallon, Gonsolin, and Marco hasn't been great, but again, kind of like in the line of like the Brad Kellers night, he's been throwing innings, he's been getting points. He's still nearly a 12 point per game guy. Jake has just really gotten great efficiency and value as seemingly out of most of his lineup spots. Even 2.81 points out of Jorge Mateo, who you don't consider a points guy. Even almost 3 points a game out of him is really nice. 3.5 out of Bobby Witt is great. 3 out of Correa is really nice. And some of these guys are having down years. I would say Kyle Tucker's having a down year, still at 3.6 points per game.
Yep.
Menezes.
What a find!
Right. Like he's doing stuff like that. Like he's kind of doing the Duke thing last year. Like, where does he come up with these guys that are performing like this? It seemed like I was always saying that about Duke last year, but the Braves are, and he traded me Torque. He had guys that this time last year you would never dream of trading Torque away in a dynasty, but he was able to do that and really not miss a beat. Not having Torque or having Torque, even if you would have kept him and he got sent down, really wouldn't have hurt Jake too bad. So, he really built himself from missing last year to starting this year, not really looking like somebody that you thought for sure was going to be destined for the playoffs, to like really just kind of, coming out of nowhere and be like, okay, boy, kind of look out for the Braves. And then it's like, oh shit, there they went. There they just passed Adam by. And now,
for me, I went after the draft. I was like, all right, the Braves are rebuilding. The the Nationals are rebuilding. They have a minor league system like none other. And then Tony had the big pitchers, and then Dwight. I mean, he made the playoffs last year, but he hasn't made too many moves. And I was like, all right, easy sailing. I'm going straight to the playoffs, and whoo.
You did go straight to the playoffs, just not in the maybe in the way that you were hoping or thought that you would be. You're coming in as the 6. So yeah, of course you get the Braves. We already talked about Zach getting the Dodgers, and yeah, that looks rough. If you look at
Adam, you do have a shot. Adam has a shot because, and it might not be the biggest thing, but with Gonsolin going down and now Savali is out, that's a couple pitchers. Like it's possible that Jake wouldn't have needed a Corbin start, but he might need a Corbin start.
Yep.
There's Gallen's unbelievable, but he's got to give up a run at some point. Archer barely goes 5 innings. He'll get some points, but hasn't been getting 5 innings.
Archer has the Yankees for his first start next week, so that probably means he's going to throw a no-hitter.
Touche.
If the recent Yankee offense is
Judge will hit a homer, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
All right. What is let's see. We have so Pirates
National League.
Pirates Giants. Let's
Oof.
Looks, at least from the scoring numbers, somewhat evenly matched. If you look at the after trade deadline points, though, and the Pirates still have about 30 points on the Giants. It's hard for me to bet against Duke really in any capacity when it comes to fantasy baseball, and especially ABL leagues or AFN leagues, whatever you want to call it. Josh, of course, is always self-deprecating about his own chances and his own, the Red Sox, whatever it might be. Unless it's fantasy football, he really loves himself when it comes to fantasy football. But I think he's right.
But who in this week? Who was the number 1 scoring team? Josh. Duke was 3rd.
Was it Josh?
And the Braves were 2nd.
What's great is at the beginning of the season, if you said to me, who do you want to see play each other in the first round? I would have been like, Duke and Josh. Like it's just like they say baseball is poetic. Man, this is beautiful. This is great.
Oh, how insufferable is this score going to be this week? How insufferable is this score going to be?
We're not going to be talking like Blue Jay Mark level bad, but I think Josh has the ability to troll like Blue Jay Mark, but also like that kind of layer of invincibility to where he feels like he's not going to get kicked out of the league for it. So it might actually be worse. I don't know if that's true. I mean, maybe if Duke's back is bothering him that day, or he woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or maybe he's like, what, fuck this kid. We've had enough. Start ruling with like a real iron fist. Yeah. But I mean, you look at the Giants. How many times have I tooted the horn of you guys? The Zacks and the Joshes and the Steves and the Brendans. You guys that came in and took dead teams and turned them around. I was not a big believer of Josh's auction. Because I believe it was one of those. He was one of those where it's like, when the hell is this guy going to spend some money? Like how. Mm-hmm. You can't take it with you. It doesn't. I guess you still have budget left over, like on your salary, but like where do you think you're going to get anybody? Like buy some guys, man. But he knew what he was doing. He's taking what was he, the 3? No, he's the 4. So he comes in as the 4. It's a team that on paper. I mean, look at that lineup. Like, does that lineup really freak anybody out? Like, if you just kind of look at it, it really doesn't me. But then when you go over here and look at it, it's almost just as good as any other playoff teams. When you look at points per game for these guys, it is kind of a scary lineup. CJ Cron is not a schlub. Yandy Diaz is not a schlub. Even Wilmer Flores averaging almost 3 a game. Not a schlub.
How many times Zach or Alan, how many times were you offered Wilmer Flores in a trade?
Not very many.
No. Oh no. Anytime I talk to Josh, he's
Zero.
like, I have Wilmer Flores. You need him. And I'll be like, really? Like, no, I need Vinny P. I want Vinny P.
Yeah. I tried. I tried Vinny P.
Who did
more than once. And yeah, I was rebuffed with extreme prejudice. Yeah. I mean, he tries to be nice about it, but you can tell when he's like, nah, there's no fucking way you're getting Vinny. Stop asking me. He doesn't say that, but that's what he means. And I tried. I didn't have the pieces to get it done. Now Josh is pitching. Wow, holy cow! Framber's 19 points a game.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is Valdez. This year, probably Valdez and Strider are the two best pitchers that don't get talked about enough.
Well, Framber Valdez is averaging like one strikeout a game, right? He's only got like 1K per game.
Let's see. He's at 150. So he's definitely below a K an inning. But
I didn't even think he was that high, to be honest.
That's my.
But man, I didn't think he had been as good as 19 points a game. That is impressive to me, especially for not being much of a strikeout guy, for being a well below 9K per night guy, and to average over 19 points per game. Where are they all coming from? Is it all qualities? He's got
he's on a winning team.
Cow.
He's for every win.
He's on an excellent team.
This guy has made 25 starts, and 23 of them are quality.
Yes, I saw that.
That's incredible. That seems incredible, right? Like that ratio of quality start. That seems almost. That seems like DeGrom-esque if DeGrom had made 25 starts.
Whoa.
That's whoa on him making 25 starts, right? Like we know that's never going to happen.
No, I meant whoa comparing him to DeGrom. There are actually people saying that DeGrom's the greatest pitcher of all time.
Start. Just as a quality start thing, like a start can only be like quality starts are binary, right? It either was or it wasn't. So like you expect DeGrom to maybe have maybe one or two that weren't. Like I'm very shocked to see 25 starts with 23 quality. I don't know. And that's got to be almost probably tops in the league, right? Like
I think that's what I was just going to say. I think I saw I think Passan or someone tweeted the other day that he's got like 22 of them in a row.
Yeah,
which is phenomenal in this day and age.
To only have made 2 starts that weren't quality seems very incredible, and like he's not doing it with strikeout stuff, and the walk numbers aren't. 56 walks in 164 innings is not great. So how he's dancing around all of these base runners. He's limited the hits. 126 hits in 164 innings is pretty nice, but he's not striking them out.
Can we talk about Valdez for like 15 more minutes, because I know that Sam traded Valdez to Josh. So.
And Sam is lamenting how many starts he doesn't have, right, in the playoffs. He was just going on about that on the Discord.
I'm only saying that because before I traded Arenado to Adam, I offered Arenado straight up for Valdez whenever he was trying to do that and got rebuffed. So sorry, Sam. But Sam's team's fine.
That really surprises me. That kind of blows my mind. That one, he's been as good as he has, and. Yeah, man. I guess I wasn't a Framber guy, and I must not have him on like any teams because I had no idea he's been as good as he has.
The crazy thing about the ABL that I've been finding is like you look at Josh. I look at Josh's team, and I'm like, nah. Like we did at the beginning of the season, we were all like, he's one of the best teams in the league. I still looking at his team right now. I'm kind of like, how? I don't have the like I know like some of the guys in this league have spreadsheets beyond spreadsheets. Like you offer a guy a trade and they're like, let me plug in the numbers here and there and this and that. I'm not that guy. So whenever I offer something to Josh, he's always like, let me do my calculations. I don't understand all that. I'll admit it. But whatever he's doing with his numbers is freaking working, and it's scary. Like, because
he's running like all the possible. You're like in Infinity War when Doctor Strange is looking at all the reality. I feel like that's what like Josh and Sam do. They have these algorithms and stuff that they've invented, and they just plug this guy in, and it's kind of like, okay, well, it could go this way because you're giving him away, but you're also getting him. So, you should do it. The computer spits out, the probability is good that this will net you more points than what you give away. I don't do it either, man. I'm right there with you. I'm eye test as much as anybody. I'm like, I look at some numbers and stuff, but I don't have predictive, software and stuff like that. And I know there are guys in this league that do, and might be one of the reasons that I'm on the outside looking in this year and going for the console money instead.
Go for that's nothing wrong with that.
Sweet console money. Yeah, we've got the console champion here. He knows how it is. Now, Zach, you will find.
Josh has a deep team.
Yeah.
Look at, and this stuff adds up. Look at those relief pitcher points per game. That's like better than all of my relievers' points per game.
That would actually. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the draft next year? Can I talk real briefly about the auction next year?
Yeah.
Because Zach, you're like I noticed that also. Last year we were on a podcast. Well, you guys were on a podcast, and I was on the typing away, making fun of you guys. But there was a podcast, and everyone's like, starting pitchers. Everyone needs as many starting pitchers as possible. You need 10. And you see some people like freaking out. Like I was one of them. Like, holy shit, I need 10 starting pitchers. And I'm like gobbling up all the starting pitchers, like, hungry hippos. And then and there's some guys that were like, like laughing at us, like, you're idiots. And I think Josh is one of them who's like, watch what I could do with these relief pitchers. Because if you look at the top like 5 teams, most of them at this point in the stage, most of them do have a solid ace or 2. Like they do. But they started off with like mediocre starting pitching for the most part and really smart relief pitching. And I think this year compared to last year we were kind of like, we would talk about all the stuff. We would mention names and we would like talk about our strategies. This year, everyone's kind of like holding their cards to their chest a little bit more. I feel like there's a little more taboo to talk about this right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, I do think that relief pitching has propelled some of these teams to some great, great seasons. And I'm looking into that because I hate relief pitchers. I can't stand them. I don't. If we played a game and we weren't allowed to draft relief pitchers, I'd be completely fine with it. So that's my.
Do you hate kickers in fantasy football?
What's a kicker?
So, not for nothing, but that is a strategy that I hate to admit it, that Blue Jay Mark used very well last year. He was aces on those relief pitchers, and he got a lot of them off the wire. And he brought it up himself. Of course he did. I mean, if anybody's going to toot Mark's horn, it's going to be Mark. But he brought it up in the Discord. Look at how many more points I've scored with relief pitching than the guy behind me, and it was substantial. It's and I did the same thing in ignoring it pretty much. This year I went for the spark kind of guys, but they kind of, I mean, that strategy can work, but I don't have the right guys for it this year. But when you look at, say, like a Pete Fairbanks, who's averaging 5.34 points per game, if he gets into 3 games in the week, that's a 15 plus point week. That's better than, say, for example, every one of my starters.
Right.
There you just got an extra start's worth of points and a pretty good starter worth of points. I was just going on about Mike Waka averaging 14.65. If Pete Fairbanks gets into 3 games and just does his average, that's over 15 points that you just got from a reliever. And that's if he only gets into 3 games. Some of these guys are, rubber armed. They throw more than that. Maybe not as much as they used to, but I do think that's a valid.
My past two auctions for this league, I didn't even draft relief pitchers. I just got my 4 relief pitchers off of the waiver wire in Fabapalooza. And that was just like, they're relief pitchers. Who cares? That's one of my biggest weaknesses right now, and I know it. I'm aware of it, and I'm seeing a doctor about it.
That might become. I mean, they may become. I don't know. It's like the guys like Fairbanks though. It's like those. It's not necessarily the closers. It's not necessarily the guys that are going to get saves, because those guys had value already. Like the Iglesiases, those guys went for auction dollars. It's those Fairbanks types that you could have gotten for $1, or that you thought might be on the wire, like you and I did, Adam, that end up being a home run. Now, those guys are so mercurial, though, it's not always easy to figure out who those guys are going to be. That's kind of the thing that I'm going to have trouble. It's like I still don't want to spend money on these guys, but I want to pay more attention and try to figure out who those are going to be. But from one year to the next and one bullpen to the next, I'm that's a skill. I think for guys to find that out and then go out and get them and
in May, the guy who owned Clay Holmes was like, "Holy shit, I found gold." Clearly, he hasn't. But for a little while, he was whoever, I don't know who it was riding high on Holmes and like just killing it. Or there's been Hader, for example. Look what happened to him. Like, great, he may be turning it around again now. But like, so I look at those guys and I'm always like, these idiots, they spend all that money on Hader or Edwin Diaz and they can become shit later on. But the alternative is me picking up a bunch of guys for $1 and they're all back in the minors or they're like retired. Like, sorry, Zach.
Fairbanks is a perfect example. He's a guy he throws really hard. He's been hurt a lot the last couple of years, but usually when he plays, he's good. Look at that, 1 walk and 24 strikeouts in 16 innings. Like, that's insane. But you get some of these guys, and because of the injuries, because they're throwing their arms like crazy in the short bursts like this, and some of these guys they are really great one year, and then the next year they can't throw a strike.
Right.
So the volatility is really tough, and it's hard. It is like a science that even if you think you're good at it, you're not going to be good at it all the time because it's complete luck. Like, who even knew who Evan Phillips was at the beginning of the year? He's scoring over 4 points a game. But to be fair, and Josh did acquire some of these guys by trade, but he also does have six stars who are averaging more than 10 points a game. So he's got a deep team, and he does sell himself a little short when comparing Duke, because Duke also has got a deep team. It is pretty unfair just because, and across, I mean, we've seen it. There is, I feel like there's like 4 teams in the middle, and like me and Adam are 2 of them, and everyone else is up here. And I guess there's some tiers. Like Allen's not in the lowest of the low tier, but when you're looking at the playoff teams, like, it's a shame that the Pirates and the Giants got to play each other. It's a shame that the Rangers and the Guardians have to play each other in the first round. Like, it's tough. It's really
Are we
tough.
politicking now?
I was called Switzerland in high school. I never picked sides.
I want to hit 2 things real quick. I'm going to answer Joe. Joe had asked when we were talking about these guys that have, predictive algorithms and stat machines. Joe asked, do I think that he's one of those guys? Joe, I know you are a math guy and a stats guy. I do not think that you are a let me plug this guy into my model kind of guy. I could be wrong on that. I know you're like a statistics professor, but I don't think that's the way you play fantasy. But at the same time, Joe is a very good fantasy. He does well in the best balls. He's done well in ABL. He's doing well in ABL 4, right? So it's like maybe he is that guy. I guess I need to rethink. Am I hearing a dog? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, I couldn't tell if I was hearing the dog. It's not. I don't think he's like being picked up on the mic, but like I couldn't tell if something was vibrating because I have headphones in.
COVID's a bitch.
Joe, to answer, I don't really know, man. I don't know. I think there's a chance you're that kind of guy, but I don't think you are that kind of guy because he's an Audino player, like I think Joe just is good at fantasy. I don't think he's using, models or anything like that to be good at fantasy.
I would like to clear something up, though.
Go ahead.
Sorry. The Discord discourse between the epic, like we thought that Josh and Duke trolling was bad, but when Josh and Joe went at it this week, I think Joe was called a stats professor, a math professor, an English professor, a gym professor, a health professor. He was called essentially every teacher or professor under the sun. What actually is he?
Joe is a statistics professor. I think that's
okay.
Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, please. I don't want to mislabel you or anything, but I know he teaches at a college. I mean, Joe's a super smart dude. So, but I think it's like it's like math, but stats is the the specialty or whatever. But
it just kept swirling down the drain, and I was like, I don't know which. I'm like, is this just a joke that's gone too far, or is there something real in there that we just kind of jumped off the cliff with?
So just as in teaching statistics, we teach a lot of English. So I guess that's why Josh latched on. Josh has a steel trap of like anything you've ever said. He and Adam is the same way. To be fair, you guys have uncanny ability, and I guess I kind of do too. But us people that spend a lot of time online, we have an ability to like reach back for what these people have said like months ago or whatever, and apply it to now. And I don't remember Joe ever saying that thing about English, but when I asked Josh about it, he immediately had the screenshot or whatever for Joe saying like, yeah, I teach a lot of English or whatever too, or math is English, or whatever it was that he said. And Josh, of course, latched onto that like grim death and started calling him an English professor. The other thing I wanted to mention was, we're all three NL guys. You guys are NL owners. I'm going to make this an NL playoff preview, because if we try to do the AL as well, we're never going to finish. And I haven't even eaten dinner yet, and it's 8:00 for me. So we'll go all night if we try to do ALs, because we've only done like two of the. We're not done with the NL yet, So
what is funny is we're going right past the AL. Meanwhile, everyone talks about Dave, the athletics. That dude is just tearing up the league and like barely hear
so low key. Yes, so low key that you wouldn't even think the A's are in the playoffs. That like he doesn't talk any shit. He's talked shit to me because he thinks I'm a climate denier or whatever. Like he's talked shit personally to me, but not he doesn't talk about how great his team is, which is all the more. It's like him and the Yankees. They both have snuck into the playoffs again this year, and you would think that those guys barely exist, But and I do want to do. I don't want to like just do NL playoffs and then completely. Maybe I'll get two AL playoff guys on, for the AL playoffs. But yeah, to your point, it's true, and Oakland has been beyond what I thought they would be for the entire season. He didn't just like start good and tail off. Oakland has been exceeding my personal expectations. There's Sam. There's Sam under the total franchise experience account, dipping in. No, Sam. In fact, you didn't miss anything. What you're gonna hear right now is that we're not even gonna bother talking about the American League, because we're National League guys, man. I mean, at heart, I think we're all as baseball purists. We're all NL guys. We all like pitchers hitting. And,
no DH.
Yeah, that's where our managers live, is the National League, right? Tony La Russa baseball. No. I mean, I like the NL as much as anybody. And even if we had the third guy, I'll go ahead and throw him under the bus now. It's supposed to be Jeff. Jeff was supposed to be our third guy. We were supposed to talk with the Cardinals. And I didn't do it that way on purpose, but it was going to be 3 National League playoff teams and 4 total National League owners. So, yeah, we'll keep this at the NL. And what I do want to ask you guys is, who do you think is going to take this Pirates-Giants matchup? I mean, if you had to we don't have Jeff's Sportsbook. That was one of the things he was going to bring to the table tonight, was courtesy of Jeff's Sportsbook, his lines. It's easy. It's easy cop out to say it's a coin flip, but if you had to pick somebody, who do we like? Like, neither one of you even want to say anything. What is it? You guys just going to leave awkward silence?
It's not it really is as close. Dude. I'm not going to say it's a coin flip. It's as close to a coin flip as you can think when looking at it. When you look at the rosters, to me, the edge in pitching goes to Josh. The hitting edge goes to Duke. But pitching is more volatile. But Duke is the thing is that Josh did have the best score in the week of the week.
Sorry.
So Josh, you don't know, like, is Josh peaking and he's going to keep going, or it's just like a 1 week at the top. But Duke, the last month and a half, I don't have the stats to back it up, but I swear the last month and a half, Duke has been, and we see it here. When you look at after the trade deadline, the only team that's outscoring Duke is the Dodgers. So
Duke's biggest problem,
like he's a top 3 team every week.
Duke's biggest problem with his team is he has too many good players and he doesn't know which one to start. That's his biggest problem. He's in it's like, come on, dude.
We're really first world problems.
He has 5 shortstops to choose from, and all of them are all-stars. It's like, come on, dude.
Duke is that meme of Floyd Mayweather trying to decide which car to drive. Yeah, that's him.
Like, if he picks the wrong guy on the wrong day, it really can hurt him. Like, rather than you have your stud third baseman, you're going to ride him through the whole week. He's going to have his ups, he's going to have his downs. If Duke does pick short, if he does choose poorly, he could be in trouble. But I'm not really too worried about it. I think he's going to be just fine.
I think he'll be okay. But that is the kind of decisions that haunt you as a fantasy manager, because that's pure managing. That was you. That wasn't like, okay, I had, Bryce Harper and he got hurt. I can't help that. Or I had Bryce Harper and he picked that week to suck. That's not really your fault. You're, like Adam said, you got your studs, you're riding with your studs. But when you're making those calls on who to start, because you have a dozen starts and you only get 7, when you screw that up, that's you that screwed that up. Yeah, that hurts. That stings.
Yeah.
The guy has a lot of good young starters. Like Cabrera, Lodolo, Dustin May's back from injury. So you could have Logan Gilbert. You have guys who have tons of potential, and Contreras from the Pirates. These are all guys who have actually done pretty well of late, but they're very inexperienced. Whereas a lot of Josh's pitchers, other than Bello, have been around a while, and even Dunning's got a couple years in him now, but they're like his probably 2 worst pitchers. Duke could have a situation where, May gets blown up. Cabrera was on a huge stretch where he was barely giving up runs a couple weeks ago. But for me, if that was me, I'd be like, oh man, I've got all these young guys to pick who, then you pick one and then he gives up 6 runs in 4 innings. You go, oh man, no, I don't want to do that with my next young guy. I can't, in a 1 week winner take all scenario, it would bug the heck out of me. I'm just like, I just whoever I've got out there, I've got to throw out there.
And if you look,
I get some points. So
and if you look at the big offenses right now, the Phillies, the Yankees, the Cardinals, they've been really crapping the bed the past past week or two. They have some bad games in there. I mean, you might be like, oh wow, this rookie's going against the Yankees, he's going to be roughed up. It's not necessarily lately, because there are some teams that are sitting guys and they're resting some of their dudes. So I don't want to make decisions. I'm like, not for me.
I'm gonna say Pirates by about 10, but it's not trash and Josh. It's tough. I truthfully could see it going either way.
You can trash Josh. It's okay.
Look it over it, yeah.
but even so, I would just say, look at Duke in trade deadline after trade deadline. He's just behind Joe, who's third in that list. Josh.
Wow, I don't know.
Even ahead of the A's. So it's tough.
I want to mention real quick. Sam, if you're still watching, there's a good chance that he insulted us and then dipped out. But I want to know. He said it's great to see these Class A owners on the pod. Now, see, any outside observer, a non-baseball person, would say, "Oh, all right, they're Class A. That means good." But we, as baseball people, might see Class A as the lowest minor leagues. And I think Sam is smart enough to know that. So
you're giving him a lot of credit.
I wonder what he means by calling us Class A owners. Are we are you guys the A class, like you're the upper tier, or are you Class A, like Class A Daytona Beach? You're A ball. You're not even advanced A ball. It's just A ball. Yeah, it's not A plus ball. It's just. Sam knows what he's doing. Sam knows what he's doing. Yeah.
One other thing I want to grab. One other thing I've been bringing up in the chat real quickly. I want to bring up with you guys. Just get your 2 cents. And I brought this up. This has really been on my mind. These prospects are getting called up like crazy. We have them for $1. Next year they're going to be $3. Like I don't know how to pronounce it. Toglia, whatever, the dude from the Rockies. Is he going to be worth $3? Like, that's what I keep wrestling with. Like, is $3 a lot of money? No. But I can get, like, Lamonte Wade last year. The dude went off, had a great year. He was in his 27-year-old season. He had a great year. Am I better off? I'm not saying me personally, but are we better off having a player who's in his 27 season and you think might explode, or having a guy at 24, 25 coming into the league for his first full year next year for $3? Which one's better? And I'm really struggling with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I mean, the obvious answer is why, ¿por qué no los dos, right? Like you want both in a perfect world. But like, I'm going to maybe have a similar decision, but like Jack Sawinski, for example, we don't have to make the contract decisions yet on those guys because they debuted this year. So we have them regardless. I mean, I guess conceivably you could cut them if you wanted to say that $3, but like it's that next year. It's 24. Like, are they going to be worth $5 at that?
Right.
Yeah, you want to offer them a contract. And like, so if it, like, specifically on the Tolia example, if you have thoughts or any indication that he's going to be the first baseman in Colorado, like, of course he's worth $3, right? Like, even if he was going to be platooning, he's worth $3. But like, are these guys they're $3 and a roster spot at this point too?
Right.
So it's like, it's not just $3, it's $3 and a roster spot. But like, if this was anything other than a 30-team league, my answer would probably be, well, maybe you have a little bit to think about. But man, in this league, anybody that gets at bats is as long as you play them, as long as you're able to play them the day that they're getting at bats. I'm sure there's teams that have run it, but I think he's going to be well worth it. The prospects, that's the aspect of Dynasty that I am the most unfamiliar with, because I wasn't a big prospect guy before I started playing in the ABL. I didn't play any Dynasty at all. So, Sawinski for me wasn't somebody that I drafted and was like, oh, I can't wait until Captain Jack is up. But I picked up Graham Ashcraft in a trade last year for next to nothing, and Sawinski I got off of free agent heat. And those are two guys that have contributed. I mean, Graham Ashcraft has contributed to me.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Not that I'm a good team, but he's been a 13, 14 point per game pitcher that I got.
Yep.
A late a draft choice, and then he's been $1 all year. It'll be $3 next year. You better believe I'll be keeping him around.
I mean,
I think they're well worth it.
You guys aren't new to baseball. I mean, there's legitimate reason why they call it a sophomore slump. Like it's I believe, if you look at numbers. So you're going to have a guy who hits a sophomore slump next year. It's going to cost you $3. It's going to take up a spot on your roster when you could potentially have, like, I don't know. The first guy that comes to my mind is Cesar Hernandez. Cesar Hernandez is not tearing the roof off of anything, but he's playing every day. He's getting you. He's averaging probably 2.5 points a game. That's probably more than Oswaldo Cabrera, whatever. I forget which one's which, from the Yankees is going to get next year. Because Cabrera's hope is to be Cesar Hernandez in his prime, and that's not awesome,
right? Yeah.
So I'm going back and forth. I'm like, it's really cool to have these prospects from the beginning, and like, wow, I could say I have them, but am I that dude who's like, I knew that band before they got big? Like, is that just what I'm trying to do, or am I trying to win? Like, I'm trying to figure it out.
It's both sides of the coin with that one, in my opinion. It's tough, but I'm one of the silly prospect junkies. I've been, even though I don't like, at least now, too cheap to pay for all those subscriptions that everybody gets on and everything like that, but I still follow, and one of my tabs that I have open like all day, every day is the MLB Pipeline Top 30, which is totally dorky, but I still have it up there. So I'm like looking at stats every day, who hasn't been picked up by anybody yet. But every dynasty league I'm in, I always want there to be more minor league spots than there are. So like in my world, instead of 20, we'd have 30. And truthfully, I wish that the decision that we have with these guys, we had to wait another year to kind of make that call, like 3 years. And I think it's good how it's set up in this league. It's great. I think it would be nice to have it more almost be sort of like the arbitration kind of scenario, that's they've got there, because so many of these guys, especially you get a September call up, and sort of like you said, Adam, some of the two Oswaldos and the Yankees, they're getting called up, but really next year, and they're pretty young, are they really going to have a lot of at-bats next year unless they blow the door off? So I was doing my little cheese and wine about Leo Verpaguero, who on my team, who has not had he started out hot and has really tanked in Double-A. He got called up because of COVID, and Altoona is too close to Pittsburgh that he could get there one day. He got in one game, he got a hit, and now he blew this year. He wasn't going to get called up because his OPS is even at 700 in Double-A, so he wasn't going to get called up. Now
that's brutal.
I'm going to have to make that call after next year, when he might not even get called up next year, depending on how it goes. So in saying all of that, I think in a lot of cases also, what we talked about too with trades, it's kind of like baseball cards. Guys are always more. Prospects are worth a ton, but you see it too in real life now. These guys, you go, no one hardly ever makes major league trades anymore. I mean, the Twins Yankees deal in the offseason was kind of a shocker, but you're like, man, you get these 3 or 4 prospects for a top guy, and you can't even get studs in these deals. You get like, oh, I'm so happy we got their 4th best prospect, right. And they're 7, they're 9, and they're 28, and you're thinking like, well, what the hell? I mean, like, this guy's been. He was an all-star once, and he got Cy Young votes, and I can't even get someone's top prospect for him. So that happens in our league too, where you see some of the deals that get thrown out and the offers that you get. And it's sometimes, and everyone values everything differently, but to me, guys who are young and who have promise, they may also be worth more in deals. So someone like Toglia, he's going to be in Colorado. He could, you could fall out of bed and hit 20 homers. That could, even if you don't end up having a use for that roster spot, and you see someone on a team, someone who wants Toglia, especially in a rebuilding team, who might be able to keep that contract, that's someone you can maybe move elsewhere too. So I'm going to have a ton of guys I know who fit that mold, and next year, we're going to be spending $2, $3, $4, $5 on guys. And in most cases, I feel like, that, and I don't know, Am I gambling on wasting roster spots on them? But it might just not be your team that you use those spots for.
And my other big question about that is, so let's say I have right now like 5 guys that are a buck. They're going to be $3 next year that are going to be, guys that just broke through. So I have 5 of them. Let's say Jeff has 5. Let's say Zach has 5. Let's say Alan has 5. We all have 5 of these guys. Holy cow! The draft has already come to auction time. We already have 150 guys off the board for $3 each. What the hell does that do to an auction? Like, we thought we had it figured out, and then we don't. And that's what's so awesome about this league. And as soon as you think you've got it figured out, you're like, holy shit, I just screwed myself. And that's going to eat away at me.
There were a couple
guys.
Lenny might have been one of them. But there's definitely a couple guys that in the Discord have said it's going to be the year 3 auction that's really the weird one. And I wonder if that kind of is part of the reason. Like, you're going to get that first wave of prospects coming up that now guys decide that they don't want to have for $5 that year after. That they're good, but they're not that good. And in that same line, Sam has mentioned, one, you have to factor in not just the $3 or the $5, and not just the roster spot, but also what it might have cost you to acquire him in the first place, whether it was, in a trade, whatever you got to get him in a trade, or his draft slot value, whatever you might want to call it. Sam said in most cases, he's going to go with the Cesar Hernandez. He's going to go with the vet in the scenario that was laid out. So, yeah, there's a lot of different ways of doing it.
What else is? The other thing that's interesting, like you have Torque. I know Jake from the Diamondbacks. He's got an $8 Corbin Carroll. Like, will these guys get thrown back in? Because it's.
I don't like the Torque trade as much as I did when I made it. I didn't give up a lot to get him. I was hoping on a turnaround. He's looked really, really bad since I got him. So, give him. The pedigree is too good to give up on, right? So it's like he'll be $25 for me next year. He does play first and third. Hopefully he'll retain.
I don't mean to just talk about Torque like insult. Like, I'm not saying that Torque. I'm just saying we still have leftovers from season 1. Like, the guy, there's a whole Dominguez is still $19, or Kellenic I think is still in double digits. We're gonna start seeing these guys come back into the fold, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
As the king owner of all of those guys, thanks to the team I took over, Kellenic. I had to toss Kellenic last year. Thankfully, Julio has been worth the $30 that he's worth that I have him for. However, CJ Abrams, 25.
Right.
Do you think I'm keeping CJ Abrams at $27 next year on a second-year contract when he's probably OPSing about 450?
Right.
I wish you could have seen.
Love to have him in my system.
First auction. I wish you could have seen what Roberto who the hell it was Robert, right? Gazzer, that's what he was called. Gaz. What he did to that team after that first it was just so prospect heavy and really expensive prospects heavy. Was not going to work.
If I could have had Kellenic, if next year I could have had Kellenic and Abrams at $3 or $5. Cool.
Hey,
wonderful.
Yeah, that looks great.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would have had to keep Kellenic last year at, oh God, I don't know, it was like 29 or something, and Abrams this year 27. It's and I shopped Abrams to anyone with 2 ears, and no one did, and there wasn't a single. I had one potential interest, and that was me acquiring a $40-some pitcher back, which I then didn't have salary for anyway. So it's that's what's hard about how that was set up, and how it is going to be a massive shift unless
but it'll never happen again.
No, unless someone pops out of the blue and there's a Fallapalooza for them. It's
right. Yeah. Never say never.
It's
true.
All right, let's do like 15 minutes or so on this last one, which I think is sadly the most interesting matchup we have in the first round. Is the Cardinals and the D-backs, and it's the story of another guy named Jake really coming on strong and kind of out of nowhere. I mean, the D-backs last year were very injured, and I know in the preseason pod with Tony, I think I said 31.5 for the over-under for – that might be a little high, but I thought that they were going to be good. I didn't think they were going to be this good. But Jeff, I think Zach, maybe you mentioned earlier, the Cardinals are scuffling a bit. Jeff has talked about it in the Discord. The Cardinals are scuffling a little bit. He's got some injuries. And the D-backs are looking strong. Do we think there's a significant chance, a legitimate chance, that one of the powerhouse teams of the year, who have been the Cardinals, I mean, when I was doing the pods earlier, the Cardinals were always top 5 in hitting, top 5 in pitching, top 2 or 3 in point per game on the season. I think there's a significant chance that we might see the Cardinals get bounced in the first round for the second year in a row. If anybody's going to do it, of like the Dodgers or the Cardinals, I think the Cardinals should be worried about the Diamondbacks in round 1.
Can you bring up their IL?
Yeah. I was going to do that.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff, I don't know what's going on with Jordan. I don't know if it's lingering, but he hasn't looked like Jordan. And I know that's one of his big losses. And then he made that big trade. What was it? J-Ram for Soto. And Soto hasn't been Soto.
No, he hasn't.
But one of those two guys could turn it on tomorrow, and Jeff could score the most points out of everybody.
So he just lost Alex Wood. That was the big one. He just lost Alex Wood.
And Manaea has been kind of – unfortunately, I was thinking Manaea has been not himself lately. He has got good points per game numbers, but he got blown up by the Dodgers yesterday, and I feel like there's been a couple other starts.
I mean, his ERA is over 5, for shit's sake. Yeah. I mean, he's not been very good. He's only 13, a low 13s points per game. So it's, as we've seen, that's worse than Michael Wacha has been on the year. So, I mean, yeah, he's
Steele
at $9.
Revelation.
That's still very attractive. But
meanwhile, we're ripping apart a team that is in the top 5 scoring every freaking week.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I think that for this week, I think it's easy to see the path to him having a disappointing exit. Burnsy has not been Burnsy lately. Again, he wasn't great today. What did he do today? He scored. Yeah. So look at these last several starts. I mean, 6 points out of Burns, 7.5, 2, 14. Still not great. I mean, he is kind of like Pablo. Maybe he's gassed a little bit.
And who does Jake have starting?
He will have 2 Gausman starts, though. Oof. 2 Gausman starts is clutch.
That's okay. That's what you want
for him.
Playoffs, absolutely. And the lineup still, even without Soto being Soto, he still averaged 3.7 points. Like, the lineup looked good, but it's the injuries to the staff that I would be worried about if I was Jeff. Jake just lost Castellanos. Not an insignificant blow to be dealt there. But he's got a deep enough bench. He's got some. Lamonte Wade can play 2 outfield spots. Gonzalez plays all over the place. And let's look at the pitching for Jake. We got Biebs. Biebs has quietly been he's not been that Cy Young kind of guy, but man, he's averaging 18 points a game. I mean, that's elite in the ABL. That's 18 points a game is maybe not the elite of the elite, but that's pretty damn good.
It's nice when you pitch to those crappy teams in the Central.
That too, yeah. It's not, but hey, I mean, he does though. Yeah, that's part of it. He does get Kirsch back. Kluber's been okay. 13 and a half points a game. Lazardo's been better than I would have expected, but over a short sample.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that 15 points a game is better than I expected out of Luzardo.
Yeah, where the hell did that come from? Because he's not. It's a small sample size. It really is. Yeah, it's a couple of the 27 in there and the 22 in there is inflating that a bit, but he has been good.
He's
Quintana's a couple a bit lately.
Luzardo has the Phillies and Mets this week, and Quintana has the Nationals and Pirates. The Nationals and Pirates for Quintana could be good.
Yeah.
But at least
really
Luzardo's got the Phillies and Mets. So
Phillies and Mets is going to be harsh.
Yeah, this is going to be a very close matchup because the lineups are pretty – they're both very good. Jake has, of course, gotten the Michael Harris bump. Arias has been – he's only averaging 309 a game, but he plays all over the place. So you're getting 3 points a game at like 4 different positions, like not all at the same time, of course. But even Tommy Pham at 3.13 points a game, it just seems like D-backs Jake is getting a little bit from everybody. Even Luke Voigt averaging 3 points a game. He doesn't have that guy in his lineup that's in like the low 2s or the high 1s. Like, these guys are on his bench, but he doesn't have a noticeable weakness in his lineup. And the pitching with Alex Wood going down for Jeff, boy, the pitching looks really even. Maybe even the slight nod to the D-backs. If everybody's healthy.
I got Jeff. I got the Cards. Because all he needs is Jordan and Soto to play like Jordan and Soto, and the pitching doesn't even matter.
Yeah, but Jordan hasn't been playing. He's been hurt.
He just came back today. He came back
today. Yeah, so you hope that he's going to become Jordan again. And Soto, even if he's just been this year's disappointing Soto, 3.7, 3.8 points a game. Sure, that's great. He could have a week where he, absolutely does carry a team. So that can happen. But, man – if I'm Jeff, I'm worried.
Oh, he's definitely worried.
If I'm Jeff, I'm worried. Yeah.
This may not have been a 50-50 matchup a couple weeks ago, but it looks awfully 50-50 right now.
Well said.
And that's not saying bad anything about either team. But the Diamondbacks again have been sneaky good, and people have been talking about it. They bring it up in Discord too. The Diamondbacks have been very, very good for a long time, and they don't get talked about a lot because, unfortunately, in that division, they were just so far behind the Dodgers and Giants for so long that they just weren't a top-tier contender, but they've been very good. I mean, the 7 seeds in the NL have been essentially sewn up for 2 months.
Well, the thing about Jake is he had a stellar prospect pool. Like his minor leagues was fantastic. Yeah. Some of those
Riley Green is sitting there on the bench. Yeah.
Yep.
Some of them recently came up, and then obviously he made some serious trades where he got the Biebers of the world from some idiots. And his what he did to his team, it was like perfect timing, and it may pay off. He may pay off big time. And he still got decent prospects.
He got those guys, and he still has Carroll and Marino
and then he's got Mayor and Hedbert Perez and man, Gabriel Moreno in the
Meyer. Yeah.
This team's going to be good for. And I was just saying, he lost Castellanos. Look at the points per game. That might do him a favor.
Yeah. Not
having to figure out where am I going to play Castellanos. That might actually help him on a day-to-day basis, to where it's like, okay, I can dump Tommy Pham and play Corbin. Like when you have Corbin Carroll and Riley Green and Castellanos and Lamonte Wade on your bench, your lineup is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a scary team. I mean, if he has a good pitching week, I mean, I don't recall seeing the Diamondbacks a lot of times in the top hitting when I was still doing that stuff, and they weren't in the top 5 a lot. But man, that is an impressive lineup right there. That is a lineup you do not want to face in a given week. If these pitchers are even average, he's going to be really tough.
It's a well-rounded team.
Carolina, 2 really bad teams he's going to face. Yeah, that's rough. We could see. I think we could see. I guess if I'm going to pick one, give me the D-backs just for the fun of it. Give me the D-backs. I think he's going to bounce the Cardinals for the second straight year. The Cardinals are going to see a first-round exit. That's going to be really disappointing for Jeff, and he's going to get a reputation not being able to make it out of the first round. That would be a terrible thing, but it just is what it is. That's the reality of the situation.
I'm not a gambler. What do they call? I believe they call it I'm going straight chalk. Is that the term? I'm going with all the high seeds. Yeah,
it's very chalky. Like when you're picking your college basketball bracket, you just pick the number 1 seeds, make the Final Four. Yeah, that's awful. Nobody likes that.
That should be me. My last name is Chalkin, so that should be me rolling that out there.
I'm not picking them by which colors I like most. That's a plus, right?
I've been saying Zach's name in my head wrong. I've been saying Chakan, for no real reason. That's just how I say it in my head. But
99.9% of people either can't spell it right or say it right, so it's no hard feelings.
Joe says if I'm laying a 1-to-1 bet on the Cards and D-backs, I'm betting on the D-backs. So I've got the English guy behind me, at least.
You got the gym teacher.
Oh shit! All right. This was.
You have to go eat dinner.
Well, yeah, it's not even so much that, but it's just like this is more time than I thought we were going to spend on the NL. But I appreciate you guys. Great. I mean, usually I like to try to go an hour, and we're coming up on an hour 40. So I thank you guys both for hanging out as long as you have. But I am going to wrap it up. I think I know we could keep going. There's plenty we could keep going about. So.
Oh yeah.
So after we both get eliminated next week, let's bring us back on and talk about what went wrong, and then we can preview the next round, and we can talk about more stuff too. As Adam was talking about too, about being paralyzed to make decisions, I just looked real quickly. My team, all year, I was lucky to get like 4 starts for like the first 4 months of the year, and now I'm looking and I have 10 projected starts next week. I'm like, where the hell did this come from? And now I know I'm going to start Bryce Wilson, and he's going to get negative 60. So I'm just waiting for this to blow up in my face. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun.
There already. No, Zach, this is your second time on. I mean, obviously, you have no aversions to being on. And Adam, now you see how easy it can be. It's just as easy as me sending you a link, and you click on it, and we're good to go. So I mean, it really is that easy. But I do, of course, I appreciate you coming on for the first time. We'll maybe get you on again for a little more Phillies-centric action or off-season. We'll take a look at the auction, whatever the hell it is.
You want to just chat, you let me know. Now that I know how to do this, you just want to chat, you let me know. Yeah. Dude, thanks for Alan. Thank you for holding this down for 2 years, brother. I know, I appreciate it, and you're doing a hell of a job, and thank you.
Thank you, man. Concur. Thank you. As one of the guys that I know watches a lot, I appreciate that.
Every time I see one come up, I bounce right to it.
I'm sorry, Joe. We're not going to give our quickies. I just don't want to do it because if we all three give our quickies, it's going to be a half hour. We can't do Joe. Yeah, Joe wants our quick AL picks, and it's like we can't do it quick. We just can't. We've proven that we just don't have it in us to go.
Oakland
quickly.
is awesome. Oakland is awesome. Twins are awesome. Orioles are awesome. There you go.
Yeah, we are going to do an AL. I don't know who it'll be, but we're going to do it. But yeah, there was your NL. I don't even know if we did a lot of actual predicting more than we did just this is maybe how it's going to be. But that was
we can't be wrong.
Playoffs. Yeah, it's hard to be wrong if you don't really take a set position, right? That's why we have libertarians.
Shall we begin?
Yeah, right. Let's just round 2.
I'm closing this up now.
All right, guys. Thanks again. We will talk to you soon. Thank you for those who watch. Sam, Joe, Tony, everybody else, Lenny. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone.